Hello everyone, today I'm really excited because it was Black Friday recently and Hornby was selling these really cheap. Here she is, Hornby's Turbomotive, and it is without doubt the most expensive engine that I have bought. However, I wouldn't normally buy something like this, but then my darling wife sent me a email from Hornby saying Black Friday with a discount code. It was early Black Friday, although this was later added to the normal Black Friday at a very similar price. And instead of the usual £340, I picked this up for £187. And of course, comes with that all the Hornby reward points as well. So yeah, this is my first locomotive with the Hornby Bluetooth controller inside it. Obviously, as they were so heavily discounted, I thought it would be rude not to go for the HM7000 version. So this is using a bog standard Hornby Select controller for the power, but the controller is not doing any of the controlling at this point, although it can. You can use the app to set it to the controller, and then you can use the DCC controller to control the locomotive, but for best results you want to be using the app. And here it is, just to show you the app. It was very easy, turning on Bluetooth, connecting to the locomotive, it all synchronized straight away, and it was ready to go. A very pleasant experience to some of the other issues I've had with locomotives and DCC. So first up, let's take a look at the features. I'll just back her up a little bit. This is with the sound off, so you can use this locomotive with sound on or sound off. It's up to you. There are other locomotives where you have to have the sound on in order for the locomotive to work using the normal DCC chips, which is quite annoying if you want to just do some silent running or run your trains late at night without disturbing anybody who lives with you. Okay, so first up, lights. They come on, they're nice and bright, they're front lamps, and they colour change depending on the direction. So if I set it to reverse, they come up red, and if it's forwards, they come up white. This I find really handy because I'm quite clumsy, and of course the app just has this arrow for forwards and the other arrow for back, but it doesn't say which one is forwards and which one is back. So it's really handy having the lights to tell you. So you look at your engine and you can see if you're about to make it go, you know which direction it's going to go in. Obviously the controller, the application doesn't know which way round on your layout you've put your locomotive. It's got no way of knowing. So so having the lights indicate the direction of travel, really useful, and can help you avoid accidents if you're as clumsy as me. And indeed I am clumsy. Within about half an hour of getting this out the box, I did crash it, but it survived. However, the buffers it crashed into, I've no idea where they went. They pinged off somewhere and I haven't been able to find them. Okay, so that's the lights. You can turn on the engine sound and it sounds beautiful. What was surprising about this was I forgot that it's Turbomotive, and so it doesn't sound like a normal engine. So listen to the sound of the turbine as it speeds up. Okay, I'll turn the sound off there. So as you can see, she comes to a lovely, slow, smooth stop. There are several ways of stopping the locomotive on the application. So the first one is to just use the slider to increase and then reduce the speed. If you do that, it comes to a controlled stop. If you press the stop button, it just stops immediately wherever it is. If you use brake, it comes to a slow stop only whilst you're holding the button, and then when you let go, it carries on. So that's kind of useful if you're stopping at a station. You just, as you're coming into the station, you press the brake button, keep your thumb on it, it comes to a stop, and then when you want it to carry on, just let go of the button and it continues at its previous speed. And then most importantly, there's the stop layout button at the top, which obviously shuts everything down, sounds lights, the whole lot, so that you can avoid any disasters. So let's take a look at the other sounds. So we have whistle 1 and whistle 2. Now both of these have multiple whistles in them. Oh, there you go. That's from the first sound file. Clearly she got very excited there. Okay, we have sounds such as brake squill, the sound of the reverser, wheel slip. It would be nice if the wheel slip was automatic somehow. I'm not sure how they would achieve that. I haven't actually managed to get this to wheel slip yet. There's the sound of the fireman and shoveling coal on. We have the sound of the injectors. The safety valves. And then we have some more fun sounds that help bring the railway to life. So the guard's whistle, the sound of wagons coupling, carriage brake squeal, flange squeal, which you can play as you're crossing over points, the sound of the blower, the sound of the carriage doors closing, blowdown, the sound of the air pump, I think that one is mislabeled on the app. That clearly isn't the sound of the air pump. So that's obviously something you can play when it's going at speed. It sounded like a piston engine, to be honest, so that's perhaps the wrong sound for the wrong locomotive. I'll have to check that out, see if there's any way of changing that. If you pull into a siding and fill up with water, you can do the sound of that. Another uncoupling sound, and my favourite, the sound of the fireman's breakfast sizzling on the shovel. And that just makes me hungry, to be honest. So, in terms of detail and features, this is very nicely detailed. One thing I tend to avoid are detailed locomotives because I am clumsy is the word of the day, and I'm worried about breaking my models. When I got this out of the box, something to be mindful of is the side facing away from you has some detail underneath the running board here, so try and grip it towards the cab rather than in the middle of the engine like you would do naturally. Just be mindful of how far your thumbs or fingers reach under the running board. It doesn't have any valve gear, being Turbomotive, which is a plus in one way because it means that it isn't there to be damaged. I have locomotives which I have purchased secondhand where the valve gear is bent and has had to be put back into shape, so there's no risk of that being an issue. On the other hand, it's sort of like, it makes it look weird because it doesn't have valve gear, but it also makes it look quite unique for a 462, sorry. It comes well equipped. So the bag inside contains the brake rigging for the locomotive, painted characters. I'll get them out actually so we can see them properly. Don't want to lose any of these pieces, some are quite small, so let's just get them in shot. So there we go, so there's the driver or the fireman, I don't actually know which one is which. So they are ready. Okay, okay, so they are ready painted and they're quite nice figures, which I really like. They're nicely done. We have the training bogie wheels with flanges if you want it on static display. We've got steps to add to the front of the locomotive. There's an NEM coupling to go on the front, and also, so you have a choice of NEM coupling or there's a posable hook and hook coupling as well. And then there's just get it, it's just caught in my fingers because it's so tiny. There's the lamp that you can put on the front of the locomotive. I'm not gonna fiddle with that. Sam's Trains reviews, I think he said there was some light bleed from around that, which I'm not fussed about having the extra light, so I'm fine having it without and avoiding the light bleed. Now, what did I drop? I dropped something. It was a pair of steps. There we go. On the subject of lights, it's always good to confirm if something said in a review is just a one-off or is a regular occurrence. So tap in the tender. I cannot quite get this right. You have to do it close to the end. Turns on the light here, the lamp on the back of the tender, and I can confirm that is really dim. In fact, from the angle I'm looking at, it's hard to see it's on, and I wasn't even sure it was working to begin with, but it does work. It is there, it does work. However, not a huge issue that it's not that great, because it's always going to be facing the back of a carriage anyway, but it is nice that it's there. And other lights included, the firebox glow is fantastic. So that works the moment you put it on. That's not controlled by the chip or anything. That just as soon as the locomotive's picking up power, that is running, and that looks really nice. And I can't wait to get the firemen in there and drive that and see the glow on their faces. Now, she's not designed to go slow. She never was. She was an express passenger, but this model can go slow, and it can go slow really well. So I'll just set the speed to 1, and you can see her crawl. There we go. So she's got absolutely lovely crawl on her. Not the slowest crawl by any means, but a very controlled, steady crawl that does allow you to back up to carriages without banging them about like Thomas the Tank Engine. Okay, so Turbomotive obviously is an express locomotive, and was designed to go fast. So let's see what she looks like going fast. Now, my track isn't finished. I've got 16 foot here of a straight line. This is 1/4 of the layout that I have in mind. So I will need to stop her when she gets to about here to prevent her crashing into a board currently blocking off the tunnel that stops trains from crashing down onto the floor. So I'll set her to 100 speed. We'll see how fast she gets to as she comes through the station, and then once she's past the station, I'll hit the stop button and you'll be able to see just how quickly she can stop, even pulling the weight of 3 carriages and with a flywheel, which is, I think, is quite impressive, because it is important that whilst it's nice for engines to do a nice steady stop, it is also important for them to do a very quick stop in emergency situations. So I'll just set her to forward and we'll have the sound on for this. There we go. She can go quite fast, and I do like that. I don't know if she reached her full speed there. I don't have the track to be able to test that in the minute, but certainly I'm looking forward to having her run on the layout properly when it is when it's more complete, and seeing just what she can do. And I think with these Pullman carriages, she looks very nice indeed. I managed to get these ones with the little working lamps on the tables, so they are very, very lovely, and they go very nicely with her as well. So that's my review of Turbomotive. I'll just do a nice close-up for you before I finish the video, and I hope you found this useful. I'm very pleased with this, considering the price. The features are absolutely awesome. It's very, very well made. I am nervous about touching it because it is so delicate, so I certainly will just leave it on my layout. So I won't be picking it up and changing it about with other locomotives. It's probably just going to stay here for a very, very long time, so that I don't accidentally snap bits off with my all thumbs hand. The other features, the coal load is removable, so you can put your own coal in. It's got sprung buffers as well. The usual sorts of things that you would expect from a high-spec Hornby locomotive. But yeah, the HM7000 is the star of the show and really finishes this locomotive off nice. And if it ever comes up in a sale again, I highly recommend that you get this. I'm very happy with it. For the price, it was amazing. All right, take care everybody, and see you in the next video.